Okay, so I accidentally discovered why successful people sound borderline delusional when they talk about themselves. And it's not confidence, it's not manifestation bullshit, it's something way darker. They're gaslighting themselves on purpose, daily. And before you click away thinking I've lost my mind, I tested this. For 7 days, I manipulated my own psychology using techniques that honestly felt illegal. And it worked so well, it scared me. But here's the thing, I'm not some self help guru trying to sell you a course. I'm someone who got suspicious, did the research, and then asked something that has zero emotional investment in humans, AI, to tell me if I was crazy or onto something. What it confirmed will either change how you see success or piss you off. Probably both. Let's get into it. So, a few months ago, I started noticing something weird. Every interview with high performers, athletes, entrepreneurs, creators who actually made it, they all talked about themselves in this really specific way. They'd say shit like, I'm the type of person who, or I don't do that because it's not who I am. Not I'm trying to be or I want to be. Present tense. Absolute. Like it was already true. And I'm sitting there thinking, bro, half these people came from nothing. Some of them were broke 3 years ago. How are they talking like they've always been this person? So I went down a rabbit hole, read psychology papers, watched hours of interviews, talked to people who had actually built something, and I found a pattern that made me uncomfortable. What if the dirty secret of high performers isn't discipline? It's that they gaslight their own habits into existence. Here's what I found. Our brains are prediction machines. They don't know the difference between is and will be. They just process whatever signal you give them most consistently. So when someone repeatedly says, I'm a person who works out every morning, their brain starts looking for evidence to confirm that. Psychologists call it identity-based behavior. But here's where it gets dark. You're literally lying to yourself until it becomes true. That's gaslighting. That's the definition. You're manipulating your own perception of reality until you believe a different version of yourself exists. But I needed to know, is this just pseudoscience bullshit or does this actually work? So I did something I don't usually do. I asked AI, not for advice, not for motivation. I asked it to analyze human behavioral patterns with zero emotional bias and tell me, does self-directed identity manipulation actually create behavior change? And what it said made me realize why this works so well and why nobody talks about it. The AI explained it like this. Humans operate on self-concept consistency. When there's a gap between identity and behavior, psychological discomfort forces resolution. Most people lower their identity to match behavior. High performers raise their behavior to match identity. Read that again. Most people gaslight themselves down. I'm just not a morning person. I'm bad with money. I'm not creative. They reinforce limiting identities until their behavior confirms it. But high performers, they gaslight themselves up. And they do it so consistently that their brain has no choice but to find evidence that it's true. It's not manifestation. It's not positive thinking. It's weaponized cognitive dissonance. Now, obviously, I was skeptical. This sounds like the kind of thing a life coach would charge you $5,000 to learn in a retreat where everyone cries and hugs. But the AI's analysis was backed by actual psychology, self-perception theory, cognitive consistency, identity priming. These are real studied mechanisms. So I made a decision that was either going to prove this works or prove I wasted a week of my life. I was going to gaslight myself for 7 days using a specific protocol, and I was going to document what happened. But here's the rules I set. No fake shit, no pretending. I had to actually start believing the identity I was creating, which meant I needed evidence. And this is where the method gets really specific. All right, here's the exact protocol I use, and fair warning, this is going to feel uncomfortable at first because you're going to feel like you're lying. That's the point. Step one, Pick an identity that scares you a little bit. And not, I want to be a millionaire. That's too abstract. Pick something behavioral and specific. I chose, I'm a person who finishes small things every day. Why? Because I had a habit of starting projects and abandoning them. So I picked an identity that directly countered that pattern. The AI emphasized this. Use present tense, not I'm becoming or I'm trying to be. Say, I am a person who. Your brain doesn't negotiate with future tense. It responds to declared reality. Step 2, the 5-minute ritual. Every morning, I did one tiny task that served as evidence of the identity. Finished one small thing. It could be anything. Cleaned my desk, completed a minor edit, sent one email I'd been avoiding. 5 minutes max. But I had to complete it. And here's the dark psychology part. I publicized it, posted it in a Discord server, told one friend. The AI explained why this matters. Social commitment creates external accountability, which reinforces internal belief. Gaslighting has a reputation for abuse. This is different. We're gaslighting for personal growth, and we're doing it with receipt. And here's what I'm telling you. Try this for 7 days. If you fail, tweak the ritual, not your ambition. Pick the smallest possible version of the identity. Make it so easy you'd feel stupid not doing it. Then do it anyway. Now, you're probably wondering, did this actually work, or is this just another internet experiment that sounds good but accomplishes nothing? And honestly, day 1 through 3 felt ridiculous. I felt like I was role-playing, like a kid pretending to be an astronaut. But then something shifted on day 4 that I genuinely didn't expect. Day 4 was when it clicked. I woke up, and before I consciously decided to do my ritual, I was already looking for something small to finish. My brain had started automatically scanning for evidence to support the identity. That's the gaslighting working. I'd repeated the statement and backed it with tiny actions enough times that my brain started operating as that identity, not just claiming it. By day 7, I had finished 14 small tasks that had been sitting on my to-do list for weeks. But more than that, and this is the part that felt weird, I started naturally avoiding behaviors that contradicted the identity. I'd start scrolling Twitter, then think, wait, I'm a person who finishes things, and close it. Not out of discipline, out of identity defense. When I asked AI to analyze what was happening, it said, you've created cognitive dissonance between the claimed identity and contradictory behaviors. The brain resolves this by eliminating the dissonance, usually by aligning behavior with the more consistently reinforced identity. In normal human speak, I gaslighted myself so effectively that my brain started defending the lie as truth. And here's what made me realize how powerful this is. On day 6, someone asked me to help them with something that would have taken all day. Old me would have said yes out of guilt. New me said, I can't. I'm focused on finishing my own projects right now. No explanation, no apology, just a statement of identity. That person respected it immediately because people believe you when you believe yourself. That's the dark part. You're not just gaslighting yourself. You're gaslighting everyone around you into believing your new identity too. Now, I know some of you are thinking, this sounds manipulative. Isn't gaslighting bad? Yes, when you do it to other people, it's abuse. But what if the reason most people never change is because they're already gaslighting themselves, just in the wrong direction? Let me explain what I mean by this. Here's the uncomfortable truth the AI pointed out. You're already engaged in self-narrative manipulation every day. When you say, I'm just not a morning person, that's gaslighting. You're taking a behavior pattern and elevating it to identity. When you say, I'm bad with money, that's gaslighting. You're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you say, I'm not the type of person who can do that, congratulations, you just gaslit yourself into limitation. So the question isn't whether you should gaslight yourself. You're already doing it. The question is, are you doing it strategically, or are you doing it accidentally in ways that keep you stuck?
The AI said something that honestly shifted my perspective. Humans are narrative-driven organisms. The story you tell yourself becomes the script you follow. Most people inherit their script from circumstance. High performers write their own. Now, obviously, don't use this to manipulate other people. Don't gaslight your friends, your partner, your family. That's abuse, and we're not trying to create sociopaths here. This is for self-use only. You're the subject and the experimenter. And if you're dealing with actual mental health issues, depression, anxiety, trauma, this is not a replacement for therapy. Talk to a professional. I'm serious. But if you're just someone who's tired of being the same person you were last year, who's sick of starting things and quitting, who wants to break out of the identity you've been stuck in, then maybe it's time to lie to yourself until it becomes true. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is easy.
The first few days feel fake. You feel like you're doing a bit, like you're pretending. But that's literally how all behavior change works. You pretend until it's practice. You practice until it's permanent. The AI's final analysis was probably the most brutal. Most humans wait for external permission to become who they want to be. They wait for promotion to act professional. They wait to lose weight to act healthy. They wait for success to act successful. But causation runs in reverse. Behavior creates identity. Identity attracts outcomes. You don't wait to become the person, you gaslight yourself into being the person, and then reality catches up. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one identity, one behavior, something small enough that you can do it in 5 minutes every day. Then gaslight yourself for 1 week. Say it in present tense. Do the tiny action, track it, tell someone, and watch what happens when your brain stops arguing and starts believing. Drop a comment with the identity you're choosing. Make it public. That's step 1 of the gaslighting process. Social commitment. Are you a person who works out daily? A person who reads every morning? A person who finishes what they start? Tell me, because the moment you say it out loud, you've already started the process. And if you want more dark psychology breakdowns where I ask AI the questions nobody else is asking, the uncomfortable, unbiased truth about how humans actually work, then subscribe. Remember, you're already gaslighting yourself. The only question is whether you're writing a story of limitation or possibility. Choose carefully. Your brain is listening. Now go lie to yourself until it becomes true. See you in the next one.